What if the Titanic was never meant to reach New York? What if the most famous maritime disaster in history wasn't an accident at all, but a carefully calculated $5 million insurance fraud orchestrated by the most powerful banker in American history? Today, we're breaking down the conspiracy, the evidence, and most importantly, what it teaches us about money and power. In 1912, White Star Line was drowning in debt, locked in a brutal race against rival Cunard, hemorrhaging money and suffocating under weight of J.P. Morgan's conglomerate, the International Mercantile Marine Company. The denied claim, then their sister ship, the Olympic, was involved in a catastrophic collision with the Royal Navy vessel. The damage was enormous, and the insurance claim denied. A naval court ruled the Olympic was at fault, meaning the White Star had to absorb the entire repair costs themselves. That's roughly $8 million in today's money, gone overnight. No payout, no. According to the theory, Morgan and White Star made the most wholly rational financial decision available to them. They switched the ships, quietly repainted the damaged Olympic as the Titanic, while both vessels sat in Belfast shipyard, sailed into the North Atlantic, hit the iceberg, and collected the $5 million insurance payout. Now here's where it gets interesting. J.P. Morgan himself, the man who owned the entire operation, had booked a personal first-class suite on the Titanic's maiden voyage. It should have been publicly triumph. Instead, they canceled last minute, citing illness. He was photographed days later perfectly healthy at a resort in France. He wasn't alone. Steel magnate Henry Clay Frick, financier Robert Bacon George Vanderbilt, who canceled but sent his luggage ahead. The luggage went down with the ship. The pattern was too clean, too convenient, too financially precise to ignore. The men who didn't survive. Then there are the three men who didn't cancel and didn't survive. John Jacob Astor IV, worth the equivalent of $150 billion today. Benjamin Guggenheim, Isidor Straus, all three dead. Federal Reserve timing. All three were reportedly among the most powerful opponents of Morgan's Federal Reserve plan. The Titanic sank April 1912. The Federal Reserve was signed into law December 1913. 18 months later, three opponents gone. Math. But here's where the Finance Channel has to be honest. Math doesn't fully hold up. A $5 million payout on a $10 million asset barely keeps the lights on. For a man worth $40 billion, that return doesn't justify the risk. The collapse. You'd need hundreds of people to stay silent forever, and the White Star Line went bankrupt anyway. Forced to merge with the Cunard by 1934. If this was fraud, it didn't even work. The asset lesson. So conspiracy or tragedy, the lesson is the same. Never underinsure your assets. White Star Line insured a $10 million ship worth $5 million. The gap didn't save them. It defined their collapse. And always follow the money, not the headlines, not the narrative, the money. Morgan canceled his ticket. The payout vanished into a corporate debt. 3 billionaires never made it to New York. That pattern repeats in markets every single day. The skill of reading, is it worth more than any stock tip you will ever receive? In finance, that always where the real story lives. And always follow the money, not the headlines, not the narrative, the money. Morgan canceled his ticket. The payout vanished into corporate debt. 3 billionaires never made it to New York. That pattern repeats in markets. Every single day, the skill of reading is worth more than any stock tip you'll ever receive. In finance, that's always where the real story lives.